video will instruct you on what you will need to make your own successful culture. First, your kitchen equipment. So what you're going to need are jars. Now you can use a number of different jars with a different number of sizes, but I would recommend, for me, I personally enjoy using glass. You can use plastic, you can use yogurt tubs, empty containers of margarine or whatever it is that you have that's in a plastic tub form that you either with a lid or without a lid, and I'll show you what you can do in place of a lid. But regardless of what you choose to use, please make sure that it is cleaned and sterilized before you start your sourdough culture. As I mentioned, like to personally use glass. This is generally the size I like to use. If you know you're going to be baking in bulk or larger amounts of bread or baked goods, you may want to get a larger glass. To start our culture though, you can start with something similar to this, or your little jam jars or smaller mason jars would work as well. So that's the first thing you're going to need. Next, what you're going to need are measuring tools. Just know that if you can or have one available, a scale is the best to use when you're doing sourdough and anything with sourdough baking. So, scale. Next, what you're going to need are measuring cups. And you're going to need probably a few different sizes only because of what you're going to be measuring is the water and the liquid with the sourdough. I also use this to actually start my sourdough when I'm making bread. I'll make like a 1 loaf in this and I'll let it rise in this. So this is a good size. And or if I'm making a double batch, I'll usually get a bigger bowl, and this is where I'll let my dough sit overnight. So have a variety of measuring cups and some sort of glass bowl to start your dough in and leave it to do the proofing in. Now the reason I'm mentioning glass so often is because sourdough and the bacteria in the sourdough can be very reactive with metal. Stainless steel, not so much. But if you can avoid using metals when you're making your culture, baking your culture, anything that the dough is sitting or the culture is sitting in for any length of time, avoid using anything that has metal in it because it does react with the bacteria. And next, what you're going to need are some form of stirring sticks. Now this one here, you can use wooden spoon, plastic spoon. The issue maybe with plastic spoon, if you're like me, I had a plastic spoon for a while, and because I like to vigorously stir my culture sometimes, I actually ended up cracking the plastic spoon. So wooden it is. So I like using wooden spoons. This is a wooden stir stick, so wooden stir sticks work really well. Anything that's solid, that's not going to break, because you are going to be using it quite frequently if you're going to be doing sourdough for any length of time. This is called just mine through Lee Valley, and Lee Valley has an online store, so you can check that out, or Amazon or any other place, kitchen supply place, they might have one. And what else are you going to need? You're going to need a dough scraper. Again, this is helpful to get the dough out of the bowl, and also when you're shaping it to help with moving the dough around. If it's sticking, having something like this to shape the dough is very helpful. So again, a lot of these things you can substitute. Anything, spoons, you don't necessarily need like a stir stick. So just whatever is going to work, as long as it's not metal. Now the next item are going to be the little hats for your dough, and the actual different bowls that you might use for your final proofing. So I use, again, you could use anything. This is a wooden bowl. This is a ceramic bowl, anything that's about this size to make, or whatever size you prefer a loaf. generally if I'm making one loaf, it's 500 grams of flour. 2 loaves are about 1 kg of flour. So this takes 2 500-gram loaves or dough at the time really nicely. So this size is perfect. You can also buy these bannetons. They come in oval shapes, they come in round shapes, they come with or without this cloth, and it just makes it easier. Some people really like them. They're made with bamboo, and they also give you a nice little design. Once the dough's been sitting overnight in it, you can see the design of the circle on the dough. So it just gives a little more character to the dough. Just a little fancy, but again, not necessary. Just something to consider if you wanted to again. So anything like this. And then in order to keep the dough from drying out while it is proofing or bulking overnight, you're going to need some form of cover. You can use cloths, napkins, okay, towels, whichever you like, just put them on top. I like to use shower caps. They're really quick and easy. They go on, they go off. I give them a wipe, I put them away. It's really good. And you're recycling and you don't have to wash them. The cloths as well, if you are using bowls like this for proofing, so the dough does not stick, you are going to need to put a cloth in the container, and you're going to need to flour it as well. So, and that's going to prevent the dough from sticking. So you are going to need some form of napkins. These are napkins that I haven't used for a while, so I keep them aside for making my breads. And then when I'm done, I take them and I wash them, or if they're not too damp and I'm making another set of loaves right after, I just recycle them and use them again for my next set. So very easy, very convenient, very clean. What to look at next is ingredients. So what are we gonna need? Okay, so we're gonna need flour, the obvious. What I like to do, again, not necessary, but I like to be organized, and to me, simplicity means organization. The greater organization skills in this kitchen or in the sourdough baking or in anything, the faster the process is from beginning to end. So I like to have a container, and this is my whole wheat container, or in this case, spelt. So I like to have a container ready to go. This is really easy. Again, these from IKEA, but you can get it at the dollar store. I'm not sure how big they come in the dollar store, but you can just put your flour in them and have it ready to go. And I just pull it out when I'm ready. These are also perfect. Again, a kitchen store, little plastic scoopers to help you scoop the flour out and then put it on your scale to weigh. Perfect. Again, the faster and easier, I think the more you'll enjoy the process of making sourdough. So this one here, I also have one for my all-purpose flour. So I have one container for all-purpose and one container for whole wheat. So that's what you're going to need. Again, just to make it simple, you don't necessarily. So this is the container 50-50 starter. This is where you're going to be taking the flour out to feed your starter each day. So again, this is a mix of half of whole wheat and half of all-purpose, and I have a little scoop inside. Just makes it, again, convenient. It's kind of like a grab and go. You're going to need some form of salt. I like sea salt. That works really well. And then finally, but not necessary, you can use just, a razor or a very sharp knife. But this is a scoring utensil, a lame. Again, they're all over Amazon or kitchen stores. You can find them. Again, not necessary as long as you have something very sharp and, it's usable, that you can actually score the bread or just give it a cut. Some people like to get decorative, but again, if for beginners, you don't need one of these, but it is going to be, you are going to need something sharp in order to cut your dough. So I believe that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.